Hey guys, Tessa here. We are going to be doing a massage today for Courtney, and she requested that we do her quads and lower legs. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So, a great way to start any massage is with some compressions, and I'm going to go ahead and start with some lighter compressions on Courtney's quad. And usually I would do this over a sheet, and I actually really love doing compressions over the sheet because you get some really good traction. And just a few times. Kind of each time I'm going a little bit deeper. And I'm going to start to hold in places that feel a little more bound up. And this is just a great way to increase blood flow to this big muscle in here. And I'm going to grab my oil. And using just a nice light touch here. Starting to get a better idea of how everything is feeling. And I'm going to use stacked hands a little bit here, and I'm just going to start to work my way up the muscle here. Using medium pressure. So I will usually start on the outside of the leg and work my way in towards the adductor. So this would be a lot harder if I were only using one hand, but stacked hands always makes things a lot easier. And my favorite way to work these bigger muscle groups is with a soft fist. So I'm being really conscious of working at an angle. So the more that you can work away from and from your core, the more endurance that you'll have. And sometimes you'll need to use your opposite hand as leverage, just depending on the body type that you're working on. I'm going to start to slow down my movements a little bit and use a little bit more pressure. And what I'm doing here too is I'm kind of scanning the muscle, and I'm picking the spots where I'm going to need to do more detailed work with my thumbs. And I'm going to go in with my thumbs into those spots that I had noticed before. And I'm just going to gently rock my thumbs back and forth. And actually, a little trick is if you hold one hand still and rock your dominant hand, it's a lot easier. So just working my way up, using a good amount of pressure. I think it's safe to call this deep tissue. And just working my way up, doing some nice stripping. Getting rid of that built up lactic acid or over fibrous part of the muscle. I'm just kind of ironing everything out. So when I'm doing this, my left hand is still and my right hand is shaking. Sometimes if you try to do both, you can get a little, I don't know, distracted by trying to do that right. And it's always good to just go back and forth in between different techniques. It's more fun to work that way, and it also feels better. And if one hand is starting to get tired, you can stack opposite hands. I don't usually use my forearm for this kind of work, but it's a nice way to work the muscle if you're feeling a little intimidated by using other techniques. This is a pretty fail-safe way to work the quad muscle. And what I'm doing here is I'm giving some extra length to that muscle by having an anchor. So I'm actually using both of my forearms. And I'm going to start actually working my way down the leg. And you can actually do some nice circles around the knee. Always with, especially people that have knee issues, you don't want to use, you want to use very light pressure. But you can just kind of stimulate the knee joints and that cartilage in there by doing some nice gentle circles around the knee.
Transition down to the compressions of the leg.
And from here, I'm gonna start with some compressions down the side of this leg into this tibialis and just pressing with my thumbs. And just finding a nice pace, not staying too long, not rushing. And I'm gonna work my way back down at least one more time. This is great for anybody that suffers from shin splints or that runs or is really active. And sometimes you need to expose that outer leg a little bit more. And get some oil on here. It usually feels better if you do longer movements. So instead of just stopping like below the knee, it feels really nice if you can do more fluid movements. So to work this part of the leg, I'm actually going to step on the other side and keeping my hand on here, I'm going to start moving in with my left hand, and I'm just working my way down, really stripping that muscle, using a good bit of pressure. And getting a little closer to the shin, making sure I cover all parts of that muscle. And you can even try isolating the foot a little bit to get into that muscle a little bit more. You can just pull that foot towards your client. And if your hand starts to get tired, you can always just take a minute. And so I'm going to start in with some more detailed work here with the thumb. Just working my way down. And I always like to work the soft tissue after doing deeper work. I'm just going to stretch out this ankle a little bit. And just briefly, I'm going to work the top side of that foot. And I'm not going to get super detailed here. I'm just going to do something that feels nice because that tibialis work can be kind of intense. You can go in and work some of these smaller muscles in the foot. Just working in between each toe a little bit. And I'm not using a ton of pressure, just really focusing on more relaxation. And just finding that space in between each toe. And just starting with some compressions on this opposite side, going through the same routine. And just starting lighter. Working my way down and back up. And it's a lot easier for me personally to do compressions over material like a sheet or a towel. It just creates a really nice traction. But this will work too. And I'm gonna start to hold a little bit longer and go a little bit deeper in the spots that feel tight. I grab my oil and just going in with my oil. And even here, just kind of scanning Courtney's leg to see how everything is feeling. And going in with those stacked hands. I find as a therapist that I usually have more sensitivity in one hand. That's usually your dominant hand. But I try to work both sides of my body as much as I can, just for endurance. And just really working my way up. towards the heart. This is really good for the lymphatic system, clearing out those toxins. And if you have somebody that doesn't like deep tissue, this is just a really great way to access the muscle without going super deep. And I'm going to go in with my soft fist. And I'm going to start going a little bit deeper. And just working my way up this muscle. So again, I'll typically start on the outer part of the leg and start working my way in towards the inner thigh, towards the adductor, but this is not how I typically work the inner thigh. So I'm not going to do that today. And I found a few spots that could definitely use some more detailed work. So here one hand is steady and one hand is rocking, and I'm just letting my right hand guide my left hand. And this can be a little uncomfortable, so not spending too much time here. And just one more run of this muscle. And going in briefly with my forearm. And this is just a great way if you're new to massage or you don't feel totally comfortable with the other techniques. This always feels nice. And some people would pick this out of all the techniques. Finishing up this work on this thigh. And moving into just some gentle work on the knee, just stimulating blood flow. And yeah, this just usually feels really nice. And I'm going to move into the outer part of this leg. And just doing some compressions with my thumbs, working my way down the tibialis towards the ankle. And you can, make your way down that leg with these compressions 2 or 3 times, and you can increase the time that you're holding. And I'm going to get some oil. And to work the tibialis, I always step to the opposite side of the table of the leg that I'm working on. And it helps if you bring the foot forward towards the leg. And just working my way down. One side might feel a little bit tighter. And as you get more familiar with what's going on with your client, you can start to work different parts of that muscle. So instead of just going down, you can kind of work your way down in sections. And going in with my thumb, just working my way down. And sometimes you'll need to reposition your body if you're feeling awkward. So you always want to be working at an angle if possible. It's just a lot easier. Just starting to kind of zero in on the spots that feel like they need a little more attention. And I'm just going to stretch out this ankle, so I'm pulling one hand towards me and one hand away. And I think we have enough oil. Actually, I'm going to grab some. So just working the front side of this foot in a way that feels nice and relaxing. And I'm going to start working my way down in between each toe. This usually feels really nice. And by all means, if you find spots that feel a little more fibrous, you can spend a little more time. But I am not really trying to do anything too deep here. I hope that you enjoyed today's massage video, and I hope to see you again next time. Have a great rest of your day.
If you enjoy these videos, please join us at Psychetruthpatrons.com for dozens of exclusive videos and premium programs. We have over 1,000 videos you won't find on YouTube, such as modeling and fashion hauls, exclusive massage videos, ASMR, behind the scenes, bloopers, and much more. It's a great way to help us keep the cameras rolling so we can continue making the content you love. Patrons will get 2 to 3 new exclusive videos each week, so I hope you'll consider joining our Patreon family today. Just visit Psychetruthpatrons.com. Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, Yoga Plus by Psychetruth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.